Welcome everyone to Bedtime Mysteries with Andreajohnsonbooks. I'm Andrea Johnson, your host for this evening, and the purpose of this nightly interlude is to help my audience go to bed with a simple thought. Who is it? My short bedtime stories will leave you with many questions. You will always end the evening with something to ponder or decipher. Tonight we continue with part 3 of the Malignia, an unidentifiable person that has taken it upon themselves to act out in vengeance against those that have harmed someone. In our previous segment, the detective caught himself in an unusual predicament. Guess the department won't be using him anymore. Tonight, our story moves on to a very powerful man, one that has a very important decision to make.
He'd had a long day at the office. Partners were concerned, consumers were scared, and business was at an all-time low. The nightclub wasn't getting much action these days, but he wasn't surprised, not with everything that was going on in the city. Xavier Harris, the esteemed owner of the Pit Stop, the most electric nightclub in town, sat alone in his study that night, holding his glass of Hennessy, smoking his cigar. His wife was already fast asleep in the other room. He didn't want to disturb her. He needed some time to think. The private meeting had not gone well. Investors were nervous, as well they should be. Every single person that had been taken so far was involved. There was no mistaking it, and Xavier didn't believe in coincidences. He thought of his wife and everything he could lose. The anger took root in his heart, and he stood up with determination, putting on his jacket and hat. He didn't know about the other ones that were fools to be taken, but this man wouldn't be making mistakes tonight. He checked his gun and made sure that it was loaded. He was going to protect his family if it was the last thing he did. It didn't matter that he never should have made the deal. He never should have been a witness to the crime. Suddenly, Xavier heard the door open behind him and turned around. His gun was ready, his finger poised on the trigger. But it was not to be. His hand froze before slowly lowering his gun. At that moment, as he stared, he knew then, with terror in his heart, that it was over before it even began. No one stood a chance against what was coming. The door closed silently, and the light flickered out in the room. Somewhere in the house, Mrs. Harris lay sleeping, completely unaware of the shadow that had so briefly touched her home, taking away everything she'd ever loved.
I hope you enjoyed this evening's segment of Bedtime Mysteries with Andreajohnsonbooks, and I hope it left you with a question. Why would Xavier Harris lower his gun? What would make a strong man surrender? Have you figured it out? Tune in for the continuation. Bedtime Mysteries can be seen Mondays and Wednesday evenings at 8 o'clock Central Standard. You can like my page on Facebook at Andreajohnsonbooks. You can also follow me on Twitter at AuthorJohnson78 or on Instagram at Andrea the Creative Author. You can also visit my website at Andreajohnsonbooks.com. I wish you good night Sleep tight. And don't leave your windows open tonight.